Good morning, children. After summer break, we are here back to start with our online classes. Hope you have enjoyed your summer camp, the activities which were assigned to you. Now, after this, it's time to start with the studies again, and hope everyone has fared well in the UTs as per the expectations, and those who have not able to get the expected marks, they'll work with more enthusiasm and they are going to practice more and will get the desired results. As you know, math requires lots of practice. Every day regular practice is needed. So I hope from cooperation from everyone that every day you are going to do practice, and we are going to start with the live sessions also, and I want that everybody should attend and come up with the problems and ask the questions then and there, so that the problems can be sorted out right there. It is more going to be like the previous classes as you were having in the school. So I hope you are going to get more benefit from these, and with these videos you can again revise your work. So welcome back again and enjoy the studies and gear up yourself for the term 1. The last class we have finished with our chapter number 7. That chapter was chapter 7, congruence of triangles. I am giving you a brief recapitulation of that chapter. Here, as the word congruence, it is a new word for you, and I have told you the meaning of this word, that when we compare two or more triangles, as we are taking up triangles, those two triangles, when we keep on one another, you are just able to see only one triangle. Such triangles are called congruent triangles. The sign of congruency is inverted or slanting S, or you can say a wave sign. Now here we have used 4 rules to explain that the triangles are congruent. The first rule was triple S rule, in which when all the 3 sides of both the triangles are congruent, the triangles are congruent. Congruent means when they are equal. Then comes SAS. For this I will draw a figure. Side, angle, side. You don't have to pick your pencil. Side, this angle and the side. The angle should be between these 2 sides. And the third one, angle, side, angle. If I take this angle, then this side, and the other angle should be this one. Again, you don't have to pick the pencil, they should come in continuation. If you are picking up the pencil, means the law is not applicable. The law is not applicable. So this is the main requirement with these 2 rules. Is that clear? And the fourth one is RHS. This is only applicable to right angled triangles. This side is hypotenuse, the side opposite to right angle, and any of the other two sides, any one side, this can be equal to the other triangle. Right angle should be equal to right angle, hypotenuse should be equal to hypotenuse, and any of the side. Is that clear? So by these four rules, you can say by using any of the rule, you can say the two triangles are congruent. Is that clear? This is the last chapter that we have done before your summer break. Now we are going to start with our next chapter, that is chapter number 8 for your terminals. That is comparing quantities. Now, as the word compare means, you have to do the comparison. Comparison means between two similar quantities. Now, first thing here you will study about ratio. Ratio is one of the method to compare the two or more quantities, but the two quantities have to be same. Same means the comparison will be there between the both of the quantities should be of length. Either it can be of weight, it can be of number. So if I say number of books to number of notebooks, weight of apples to weight of bananas, length of rope to the length of cloth. So means the quantity should be same. Is this clear? Now in variable form, I write A is to B. That is A ratio B. This is the sign of ratio. This one is called antecedent. The first one, which is written before the sign of ratio, is called antecedent, and the one which is written after or on the left hand side is consequent. And you can write the ratio in the form of fraction as A upon B also, where A, the numerator, is going to be the antecedent and B is the denominator, will be the consequent. Is this clear? And both the quantities, if antecedent is meter, consequent should also be in meter. If it is grams, this should also be in grams. Suppose if this is meter and this is centimeter, then you have to make them equal. Otherwise you cannot solve the question. Is this clear? Without making them same, you cannot solve it. The units have to be equal. Meter and meter, centimeter and centimeter of antecedent and consequent. This you always have to keep in mind. Without this, you cannot solve it. Now, writing the simplest form. Is same as that you have done for the fractions, writing the fractions in the simplest form. How you were writing the fractions in the simplest form is by taking the HCF of the numerator and denominator. So here also, suppose I give you 20 is to 30. This is your ratio. Write it in the simplest form. What will you do? The HCF of 20 and 30 is going to be 10. So first write 20 upon 30. So what will you do? 20 upon 30, divide it with HCF, both the antecedent and consequent. You get 2 upon 3, that is 2 is to 3. So this is your simplest form. Writing the simplest form of the given ratio. First convert them into fraction and then find the HCF of both the numerator and denominator and then divide each of them with the HCF and then you will get the simplest form and then write it in the ratio form. This is the easiest method of writing in the simplest form. And then how to find the ratio. If I give you find the ratio of 50 gram to 5 milligram. Now read the question carefully. That is very important. Every time here when you read it, this unit is gram and this is milligram. So first convert this into milligrams. 1 gram is equal to 1000 milligrams. So this is your 50,000 milligrams. Is this okay? And now 50,000 is to 5. Now why I have not written milligram here? Because when I am writing this in A upon B form, they will get cancelled. They'll get cancelled. So there is no need to write. And now the HCF of these two going to be 5 only. So this is 10,000 is to 1. This is your way to find the ratio between the two numbers. So this is the today's topic where you have learnt what is the ratio, what is the simplest form, and what is the way of finding the ratio between the two given quantities. I hope this is clear. So next topic we are going to take in the next class.